Welcome to episode 32. Today I'm joined by an incredible woman, Jumai. She's married and lives here in Nigeria. She will be sharing her infertility story with us today. If you want to connect with her, you can reach her at Jumai's Voice on Instagram. Her details will also be in the show notes. So welcome, Jumai, and thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Ola. You have an amazing platform. Thank you for all you do.
Yay, thank you so much. That's wonderful. So to start off, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So yes, my name is Jumai. I've been married for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm an accountant and I have a small outfit my husband and I run. And what else do I do? Yeah, I'm pretty introverted. I don't talk so much, and I don't have a lot of people around me. I think pretty much that's it.
Well, thank you for sharing. And of course, today we are talking about fertility and infertility and how it impacts us as individuals, as couples, and in the society. So you wanted to share your journey so far. I know that you're currently on your journey to becoming a parent. So could you please tell us a little bit about your journey so far?
Yeah. Okay, so we started our journey almost immediately. So when we got married, we were part of those people that felt, oh, maybe we should wait. And then immediately we just thought, no, we're not waiting. Let's just start. And I remember 3 months into my marriage, I was wondering why. Because my mom used to say a lot that, you guys we're so fertile. Like, if a man should touch you, you're gone. And I'm Hausa. So right. we didn't get to explore sexually as such and all. So I was just wondering what's going on and all. So I the one that hit me, I think, was the 4th month, and I was late. My period was late, so I was so excited, and when your period is late like that, I don't know if it happens to other people, but I would now start to eat a lot.
Oh yeah.
To sleep a lot, and I was just like, oh my God, this is it. I was already singing my worship and saying, God, you've done it. And then one day I went to the market, and when I got back, I was, I'd started my period, and I was, oh God, I cried a lot. And that was when I decided that I need to check why my own case is different. Because even though now I know that it's not just when a man touches you that you get pregnant, it's pretty much been that way in my family. Like, a lot of my cousins had either got pregnant immediately or before they got married. So it's for me then, I was so naive that I thought that it was a family genetic thing. And so I asked a friend as a gynae to see what's wrong. So he asked me to do a few tests and I did the test, and he was like, everything is fine. But if you really, really want us to do something, we can go on Clomate, and do an injection. I can't remember the name of the injection, but basically it's supposed to help you time your ovulation so that we know exactly when I'm ovulating, trigger the ovulation, and then meet with your husband within 48, like between the time you take the injection and 48 hours, basically. Okay. So I did the Clomate, and then it was time to take the injection. So I've never taken an injection myself. And so we decided to go to a clinic to get the injections done. I went with my husband. It was at that point that, and I went with all my test results from the tests the gynae had asked me to take, because I felt like the doctor would definitely ask that, why are you taking this injection? And I wanted to show my progress. And so he said that, okay, then where's your husband's results? And I was like, oh, just give me the injection, don't worry. Give me the injection. And he's like, no, what he's asking is no matter what he does to me, if my husband doesn't give me what I need, we're not doing anything. So where's my husband's result? And I'm like, look, I've been on Clomid, I've been on this, I've been on that, I've gotten to this point, I need the injection. But he was able to really convince us to just go do the sperm analysis and come back. So we did go to do the sperm analysis, and we had 0 sperm. Like, I'd never heard of it before. I had never. And I've been with this man. We've been together. We've been baby making, baby dancing and all. And I'm like, this guy ejaculates like he comes. Hello, what are you saying? And they're like, no, that in the semen, that's where they find the sperm, and they can't find any sperm. So I'm like, oh no, this one thing is not working. Let's go somewhere else. So we go somewhere else, and and it was the 3rd time that it just hit me that, babe, like, this is really happening. And then I look at my husband, and he's just like, oh, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. I'm like, why are you not freaking out? So I think we lived in denial for a bit, and then my sister-in-law encouraged us to go see a proper gynae and know what we do from there, because for someone to tell you there's no sperm, it means like you have 0 chances basically, right? Because there's nothing they can do. So we see a gynae, and he says that, okay. Unfortunately for us, when we did see him and he did the test there was just one sperm. So he says that, so it's possible that, yes, he has azoospermia, but it's possible that it's obstructive. Right. So we were referred to an IVF clinic, and this is the worst experience I've ever had with any hospital, fertility or not. It was really, really bad. And to be honest, that was when I knew that it wasn't good to not talk about a problem in Nigeria anyway, because you need to really know what's happening, be aware of your options. We went exactly with what this gynae had told us. And, we were really ashamed. No, I don't know if I should say ashamed, but we were afraid of any other person apart from us knowing. Right. I don't know what we were really afraid of. Maybe shame, maybe mockery, I don't know. But we didn't, I remember feeling like nobody must know, And we went to this clinic anyway, and it was really bad, from the kind of drugs we were given to, how we were received and all. It was, the fee compared to any other hospital was really affordable, really affordable. So it was below 600,000 naira. So that's pretty good. It was really affordable and ridiculous now that I'm looking at it, but then we were really excited. So we did a procedure called Tessa, where they take out, using injections. Yes. The guy that did it just kept tricking him and just saying, nothing there here or nothing. Oh my. Like, it was the worst. Just clueless. Ever. It was the worst, And so we had to cancel. We couldn't do that one. We tried. So after that, it was really bad. Like I said, we were both traumatized. And it was at that point I started asking questions and trying to see what else could be done. A few urologists suggested a few drugs for him. One thing I forgot to say is that my husband had a varicocele surgery a few years ago. So the varicocele basically means that the veins are like really large veins are growing around the groin area, and so they have to take them out, and it affects the male fertility, like some people are lucky after the surgery, they're fine and they can produce on their own. But some people, like my husband, are not. So we decided to change hospitals after a while. We met this hospital we went to, everything was good, the doctor was brilliant, they had their own facilities, everything was awesome, and all. And we were so lucky. Every time he went for a sperm collection there, he was able to produce something. Yes, we were still in the ones, every time we get only one. Now, when I say one, I don't mean 1 million. I mean literally one. And, for anybody that knows what sperm analysis, it's supposed to be in millions, like 20 million. And we were just in one. So we decided to go ahead and just have faith and believe that something will happen. So this time around, we did get to embryo stage. Unfortunately, we had 6 embryos, and then the next day we had only 1 embryo. And by then, even the doctors were scared that even that one may not survive. So they just asked us to come in and put it in me, because usually some doctors believe that the embryos perform better in the woman's womb. So it was put back in, and it didn't take. So we tried again. Yeah, we tried again in the same hospital and same thing. So we decided to take a break. We had, before we went to this hospital, we had gone to the clinic I'm using now, and those ones had told us that no, they were not going to do anything except donor, and all of that. And so that was why we left them, because we wanted somebody that would have faith with us.
Yeah.
So things didn't work out anyway, and now we went back to that same hospital that had said we had to do donor and all. In between all of this, my husband was always on one supplement or the other. We had done a complete diet change, when I say a total diet change. No sugar, no rice, no carbs.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, half of the food always has one main vegetable that he needs, or the other, we got a nutritionist to design or to put the diets together and all. And then, so we went to this clinic that I'm at now, and things were way better, to be honest. In fact, they had gotten to the point where they felt that we should start freezing. And this is the first time that I feel like someone had been on the journey with us. They decided that they would start freezing every single sperm they could get from day one.
Right.
And so that on that day, we're not dealing with just one sperm or just what we could get. And then the second thing they decided to do was to go into the testis itself, so cut open and then scrape off, rather than using the injection to extract it. So
did that work better?
Unfortunately, no. This time we didn't. So now this clinic has a strict policy for day 5 embryos. Because they're like, if they cannot survive up to day 5, there's no point having hope, and they have a strict policy on day 5, and so that's it. We lost them on day 3. So now they're just saying that, well, I even don't think I'm so exhausted.
Sure.
From the whole process. And for me, it's like you start something, and the point where I'm no longer so nervous about how many eggs are we going to get, and all. That point where the embryos survive or don't survive that is now the main issue for me. The clinic is now saying that they have to be brutally honest with us that we need to go the donor route, and even IVF is strange to my family.
I'm sure, yeah.
So going the donor route, of course, it's not something that I would discuss with any other party.
Exactly.
It's not something that I would discuss anyway here in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So that's where we are at now. We're working towards January. Unfortunately, as time has passed, so have I. Like, I have also grown, and now I'm 35. I feel, looking back, I feel like maybe I should have just gone with the donor as the clinic had requested at first, and maybe after having the donor baby, like, I don't mean donor baby, but basically after having a child, then maybe I could have now pushed towards having a child that he and I would have,
genetics.
So, but now I'm scared about my eggs. So all this time I've been talking about all my husband's side. I also started with a low AMH. So I don't know the full
anti-malaria hormone.
Yes. So basically, it just means that I have a lower. The eggs I have are lower than what I should have for my age.
Right.
I've had that since I was 30, and but the funny thing is, depending on the clinic you go to and the quality of drugs and how they manage you, you won't believe that the first time I ever did IVF, I had 8 eggs, and the last one I did this year, I had 13 eggs.
Oh, wow.
So you see that it depends how you're managed, and
and how your body responds to the drugs and everything.
Yes, exactly. So so I haven't actually seen myself diminish in the eggs, but I'm just, quality is also more important than even quantity. So right now I'm I'm really nervous about that. But I'm working towards having to do the IVF again in January, with the grace of God. And I'm hoping that's the one.
Amen to that.
I don't know how many times I've said that's the one.
But that's how it is, right? You have to stay hopeful. You have to stay hopeful and just believe and just pray towards it. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I certainly understand that, you noting that perhaps you should have gone with donor option earlier, but in reality, you have to be ready. You have to get to that point that you know that, okay, you're ready to proceed, because, you don't want a case where the clinic just tells you and you just go ahead with it, and then later you're second guessing, or, the kid is already here and now wondering. So it's better to be fully, and quite frankly, I think that you also need, I'm not sure if you've done counseling, but it's good to have proper counseling as well, just to go through the motions and get to that point where you know that you're ready to move ahead with this. And in Nigeria, many people do use donor eggs and donor sperms, and even embryo adoption. But again, like you said, we don't speak about it, so nobody knows. Nobody. We're just not speaking about it. Nobody shares because you're afraid of what people are going to say and how people are going to treat you, which is, those are valid concerns considering the society that we live in. But it's just when you just realize that it's actually much more common than we think. Even with IVF, IVF is still, people, you still find some people making ignorant comments about IVF. But then
I think it's the reaction for the children, not so much. I think I've gotten to the point where I can shut anybody up.
That's good. You need to get there.
But I do not want that to be passed on to my child.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right. You don't want people saying things, and children might not be equipped to be able to deal with all that, and you don't want it impacting them. So those are valid concerns, especially in our society. Even in westernized countries, people are still, yes, it's better in terms of awareness and how people react. But again, it's still a process. It's not perfect yet. People are still, people are still focusing on raising awareness, let people understand all these different options that are available and the other different options that people have to consider. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, and we'll be keeping you in prayers. I'll be keeping you in prayers as well, that your next cycle is successful.
Thank you.
And it's so important, like also noted the clinics. Every clinic can be so different. Sometimes even the ones I know now you're looking back and saying perhaps you should have realized, because it was so affordable, that probably meant it wasn't maybe so great. But even some clinics that are quite expensive could be not so good as well.
The truth is, we didn't even have anything to compare with.
Oh, right, of course, the first
because when we did check online, as at that time, 5 years ago, a lot of clinics were not putting up their prices online.
Yes,
so you could only compare with prices abroad. You know? So for us, it was like, oh wow,
yeah. And the prices must have really gone up now, actually, with all this, dollar increase and everything always converted.
Yeah. But now in hindsight, when I think about that price, it was barely enough to even sort out the drugs, And remember that my husband had to also do a surgery.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So it was.
But you never think about that at that time. It's always in hindsight when you look back and
at the beginning, and you're just even happy that there's a solution at the time. Really, I was so grateful. I was so grateful. You have no idea. I was eager to start.
So with all this that's going on so far, and of course the diagnosis and all that, do you think that this whole, what impact do they have on your husband or on both of you?
What
impact did the diagnosis and this whole process of IVF and treatments, what impact did you have, if any, on both of you or on your husband, on your relationship?
Yeah. So the truth is, my husband is one of those really, I always say that he's very amazing. He's quiet. He doesn't have, on this particular issue, he's like, I can't believe I'm making you go through this. And I'm like, you don't have a choice. You didn't yourself this way, So he practically goes at my pace.
Right.
He's just like, are you ready? Can you? So if it was up to me, because I can see 35 in January, I'm like, let's start now. And he's like, after the year we've had, because we had to do so many procedures this year. Many. Yeah. So he was like, no more injections, no drugs, We've been close. We've been really, really close. Maybe because it's just us, and then when you have to go through something like this, and because the people you get to talk to are such a small unit, and it is really mentally and emotionally draining. Those people in your circle, somehow it closes, it makes you closer. So for my husband and I, it's like after being through this, I think we feel like we can do anything.
Yes, right. You're ready.
Yes. So he's so supportive. Unfortunately, he can't stand injections, so he's not wants to help you inject yourself or anything. But whatever it is. So the 2 week wait where you're supposed to snap your fingers and call someone to do, he's ready to do it full time.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had OHSS this year, so him.
Oh wow.
Same me.
So sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. He was, I think he just really looked at me in another light again, and he's like, babe, you almost died this year. Are we doing this again?
Yeah.
No, I didn't almost die. It was just an overstimulation. He was like, no, I saw you, and he's so, but with dealing with other, like his family, I feel like, yes, sometimes I don't think I like the way he deals with it, because not everybody in the family knows why we're still waiting.
Right.
And when I say not everybody, of course, I don't expect him to tell his cousins and things like that. But in my case, for example, his dad knows and his mom doesn't know. He says his mom is so fragile, one thing. But, it makes it really difficult for me, because she calls me and she has those conversations with me.
Yeah.
She's had the conversation of, let him come into the room now, And I'm just like, this woman,
Oh, my.
So, yeah, for me, I think that's the only thing that gives us a bit of a clash when it comes to the male fertility thing. I feel like he doesn't handle it well with them, and so they just look at us like, these ones, they're having the time of their life. They're not doing
I know, right? It's time to move on, but the time is not waiting. They keep reminding you every time. You're like, yeah, we know. Yeah.
So, I think that's the only place. Every other thing, and then financially, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's been, we've had so many plans, and every single time, we've had to readjust the plan, either because we're trying a more expensive approach, or we're trying, and then of course the drugs, male fertility drugs are not cheap.
No, not at all.
Not. And even for me, the truth is, for me, I never waited. I never saw it as, it's just a male fertility issue. I was always constantly on supplements, because I wanted to be 110% ready, and whether it's for the quality of the eggs or for implantation or whatever. So, and you know it now. You have like 12, 13 bottles.
I know.
So it's financially, it's been been a lot. Yeah, it's been a lot, and I don't think Nigeria really helps us when it comes to have any real insurance. And I know there's a loan, but I keep saying that I will never take a loan for IVF, because it's more painful to pay for something that didn't work.
Yeah.
And the reality is that it may take more than one cycle for you to.
No guarantees at all. And then the money is still waiting with the high interest rates.
Yeah. So there are two things now happening to you. You're trying to pay back the loan, and you're trying to save up for the next one. Yeah. So it's not.
We just hope that in the future, near future, that things will change. There'll be insurance and more support, even from employers. People to just have better options in how to pay. That's the thing about with infertility. I'm glad to hear that it's made you closer, and that's what you hear in some cases. So that's wonderful. Of course, nobody wants to have infertility just to make to get closer from that, but it's still it's a good thing to see that that's the way it's worked out for you, and then hopefully by God's grace the kids come, and then You look back at this time and just say, wow, tell the kids the stories of how they came to be, how much mom and dad had to do to get you guys here. That's why I keep saying I'm going to tell my kids, like, yo, you need to understand.
No.
But, so. Yeah. So now if you had to look back and say, knowing what you know now, what would you say that infertility has taught to you?
Okay, this taught me to, I didn't know I had the strength that I have now.
Yeah.
So I'm more confident, I used to be the one that go into a room and then you'd say everything you need to say, and then I'll say, oh, okay, and I'll go and try to do it, and I know I'll figure it out. But now I challenge you. I challenge infertility has taught me to be more open, and to be less of a judge, I'm more careful. I'm more empathetic. Empathic. I don't know the word.
Yes, empathy. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I, it's taught me to, to let God. I used to be a planner. That's me by now. The children should be 4 years old.
You have all the years noted. Each year, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. To let God, I have a lot more respect for women, whether you had you got pregnant naturally or not, or even decided not to have kids. I have so much more respect, because now I realize that, look at my case, it's a male issue, but I'm the one taking 100 injections. So no matter what decision or what path you take, like, somehow life is just so much harder on women.
It is.
I don't know why.
It's just someone has the way the society and everything is just set up, and
so and I just look at life generally differently, being open to possibilities. I'm not so surprised when I meet a curveball, now.
Right.
Yeah, and especially because I've come so far from impossibility,
It's wonderful. And so you mentioned, you now learning to not plan so much and letting God take control. So what role has faith played in your journey, in the waiting and
faith. Like the days that I will cry and feel abandoned, feel really abandoned and not understand how God could, make me feel this way, And up until this time, I used to think that, me and God were best friends. And I'm like, what's happening now? And like, I'm the kind of person that I can pray for light. Like, I could pray that, oh, please restore power. Like, there's no light. So I pray for the smallest thing, and it could happen,
Yeah.
And so it's tried me. I can't tell you that I've known, yes, that God has got me. I've known that God has got me, to be honest, and I've put so much faith in Him to guide me through it all, through every step of the way, picking the doctors, picking the hospitals, the steps to which we found out, things like that. I have really, really, really counted on God on everything. And
right.
so some days I wake up and I know that he's going to do it. In fact, I've had days that one or two people. So there was one time that there's this girl around me that always said, "Oh, my naming. By the grace of God, I won't be in Nigeria when I have the baby, so naming will be without me." You know those plans
Right,
now.
yeah.
And then so in my head, I'm like, this is the lady I'm going to call to cook on the naming day, so that my husband's friends and in-laws and everybody will be fine. And I'm not so close to her. I just know she does good work, and and I know. And she called me sometime around the same time I was having that thought, and she was like, "I just want to let you know that God has not forgotten you, that you would have." And when I say that, like, she's just some random person in my life, I mean it. Like, she can never, she should never call me to talk to me about my fertility or infertility issues.
Right.
So I was just like, "Oh God, this is a sign, this is this, And so sometimes I even have to remind God that, but you sent someone to me now. You sent someone to me. I didn't talk to this girl. I didn't, And so some days I'm hopeful, I'm prayerful. I know that God has got it, and everything. But now, to be honest, I'm at a point where I'm just like, God, I know, because he said it, that no matter the end of this journey, I'm going to be more than fine. I'm going to be more than fine. And a lot of people ask me that, how come I'm able to laugh and smile and, through this journey? And I'm like, hey, you don't have no idea for me. Days I'm crying in my room. Days I'm crying in my room, but I'm so grateful because, to be honest with you, there are people going through this journey as well, and they're not having it so easy with their spouse or their other family members, or even financially.
Yes.
Being able to do those things, and then I know of people that have gone in with one problem and they now have like more than 10 problems,
Yes.
On the same issue. And so my faith in God, and I'm just like, I know that no matter how it ends, I'm going to be more than fine, I'm going to be good.
Yes, well said. That's a wonderful way to look at it. And have you had any one quote or word of affirmation that you've used frequently during this waiting time?
Yeah, so not necessarily a quote, but it's something I tell myself a lot, that I'm not a bad person. I'm not perfect, but I'm not a bad person, and I'm not being punished, for that. And so I know that there are people that have killed people, there are people that have cheated people, have robbed people, have intentionally been mean to people, and they have kids, good, beautiful kids for that matter. And so I know, and I'm very aware that this is not a punishment, this is just God's way of trying me and taking me to where he needs me to be, basically. So that's one thing that has kept me going, knowing that I'm not being punished for it, so I have less, since I've become aware of this, I have less why me's.
Yes.
Yes, I have less of that, because I remind myself every time that it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about me, but it's not about what I've done.
What you've done, yes. It's not a punishment. I love that. It's a good reminder for us all every day. And if you go back to Jumai at 25, and you wanted to tell Jumai a word of advice, what would you tell her when she was 25 or 20?
To be honest, I'm not sure. Because even when I look back, I don't think I would have done anything different.
That's great.
Yeah. I don't think I would have done anything so different.
Right.
Because I'm also aware that I'm not necessarily in control. you know, a lot of things have happened, whether in my career, whether in terms of fertility, you know, yeah.
Well said. And as a wrap up, Jumai, do you have any words of encouragement for other couples or anyone else out there dealing with infertility in general?
Yeah. So I would say that you should be very much in touch with yourself, know what you want, and go for it with everything you've got. So if you find yourself in this journey and you really, really do want kids, like don't listen to, I won't say don't listen to pastors or anything, but don't listen to anybody. Just as long as you're not doing anything illegal, you know, go for what you want with everything you've got. With everything. That's what I'd say.
Well said, Juma. I love that. You should do what you feel is best for yourself or for you as a couple if you're in a relationship. That's wonderful. Really great advice, Juma. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been such an insightful session listening to you. You know, we all been blessed and getting so much wisdom from everything that you shared with us. Listen to your strength and how you've come so far, and yet, you know, how you and your husband have gotten closer and worked, and you're stronger through this whole situation. It's really been inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing your story. It's been an enlightening session. We've all learned so much. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah. And you'll be in my prayers, and I'm sure prayers of all the listeners as well, that everything will go as you desire.
Amen.
So thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.